So you've read all the books, you've been to even maybe a couple of Dr. Joe events. You know that you should be able to create your life and get what you want, and yet it's not happening. What gives? That's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Wanda Vitale. I'm a transformational life coach. I am also a certified dream builder coach. And my whole life has been about understanding the nature of reality and how it all works, what doesn't, and how we get stuck. Let's just dive into it. First of all, do you know what you want? What motivates you? When we're 30, I think, we want to be millionaires. I did. And maybe you did too. We want the money. We think $1 million is going to change our lives. We do all the right things. We get the degrees. We work those long hours and we have what we want, but we're not happy. So now in midlife and older, it's all midlife to me. Really, what motivates you? If you had the $1 million, which doesn't go very far these days, if you had $10 million, you'd be bored after, I don't know, a month. You'd buy all that stuff and then you'd say, okay, now what? So what really motivates you? That's really the number one question. I can assure you it's not money. For those of you who think you want the money, it's because you think money's going to solve your problems, but it doesn't. It just doesn't. I have been there and done that, and it doesn't. You want fulfillment. So I want you to ask yourself and sit and journal. What would fill me up? If it were easy, what would I love? If I could have anything, what would I love? If I could make a difference, what would it look like? If I would get up every day and think, oh my gosh, I love my life, how would you feel? Start there. If you don't know really what you want, start with how you would feel. Write those emotions down. Come up with 3 emotions. Maybe it would be grateful. Maybe you would feel fulfilled. Maybe you would feel peaceful. Maybe you would feel joyful. Maybe you would be excited. Write down 3 emotions and think of those emotions as though they are hooked up to a 3D printer. And without even needing to know the details, start with the 3 emotions. Get up in the morning when your brain is more plastic and sit there and imagine waking up, feeling those feelings, being grateful for your new life. That's the first thing. The other thing is notice what gets in the way. What are the what ifs? What are the yeah buts? One of the really common things that I hear from clients is, well, this works for everybody, but I don't think it works for me. Really? Do you think you're an exception to universal law? You're not. I get it because when my old life, when my old identity left, when everything I knew to be me and secure was circling the drain, and I was dealing with my own what ifs, I had to remind myself it works, persevere, push through. So write down your what ifs. In addition to what works for everybody but not me, what I hear is, well, I'm too old. It will take time to create this thing, to have this life that I would really love. It will take time. That's an excuse. It doesn't take time to create anything. It takes awareness. And I'll talk about that. So write down your what ifs. This is your nervous system trying to keep you safe. Our nervous systems are like a thermostat and they're set at a certain temperature. And when you want to change your life or change your circumstances, even when that's favorable, your nervous system goes, oh, wait a minute. Are you sure you really want that? Let's just be sure. And so it comes up with all these thoughts like, oh, it will be hard, or you can't do it. You're too old. It will take too long. Or it will say, oh, well, you don't have credibility. Or it might say, and this is another common one, well, little old me, little old me. Yeah, so write those down. Get them down on paper. And then I want you to look at what's the opposite. If those old beliefs are just meant to keep you safe, and that's all they are, well, then the opposite must really be true. I'm not too old. It doesn't take time. It only takes awareness, which is the truth. Everything is possible. Write down the opposite beliefs. I also want you to look at, where are you still in resistance? Where are you still blaming? Where have you not forgiven someone? This is so important. When I got divorced, when my life collapsed, literally, I was so angry at my ex-husband. He really was upset that women should even have the right to vote, and I was an equal partner in our business. So it was really an ordeal when I went through the divorce process. My attorney said, this is not a divorce, it's a divestiture. While I was in it, I was very resentful of him. I really wanted him to drop dead so that I didn't have to spend all that money that I didn't have. And then I didn't have to go through that whole hassle. But in retrospect, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I still call it the gift that keeps on giving. I had to face every belief that I had about what was possible and what wasn't. I had to face my own issues of unworthiness and powerlessness. I knew then that I created my life, but I had never had to go to the depths that I was forced to go to. I had to keep going deeper and deeper. I had to confront greater and greater levels of fear. And in retrospect, oh my gosh, I got turned inside out, and that was the best thing ever. It is why I can tell you right now that everything is possible, because I had to face a lot of seemingly, anyway, impossible things in my life. And I wasn't 30 or 40, I was nearly 60. I was in my 50s when I was going through all this. I didn't have a safety net. I couldn't go back to what I used to do. It wasn't possible. We dissolved the company. I didn't know what to do. So look at where you are holding any resentment, because what that means is it's a power leak. It's where you are still blaming someone for something that happened to you. It's leaking your power. So resistance in one area in our lives is resistance everywhere. If somebody cuts you off in traffic, forgive them. My husband always says, oh, must be late, must be having a bad day. Next, I want you to really look at why you believe you can't have what you want. And just ask that question. Sit with your pen and a journal and see what comes up. We all have what I call welcome to being human beliefs. And the most common ones are, I'm not enough. I don't always get what I want. I can't have what I want. I'm powerless in this situation. I have to earn it. We were born from this vast field of love. And when we were born, we knew who we were. Look at a baby. They know. But then we individuated. We were born into a family that had beliefs about money, that had beliefs about love, and that had beliefs about struggle and earning. These are ancestral beliefs. I was born into a family that believed in struggle, feast or famine. When we're little, we don't question those beliefs because we don't have that ability yet. We just say, well, this is how it is, and it's always going to be true. And then our thermostat that I talked about gets set at that. It's a thermostat. Feast or famine, that's the way it is. If it's about money, so many people have money issues like I used to. If our thermostat is set for feast or famine, well, the feast comes in, a lot of money comes in, and then it leaves. We get expenses, we spend it. This is why lottery winners typically are broke 3 years after they win the lottery. It's not a conscious thing, but it's our nervous system. It's our beliefs. Our beliefs always inform the thoughts we think. The thoughts we think inform the feelings that we have, and that creates the actions that we take. Look at, what are your stories? Why don't you think that you can have what you want? Why do you think you're limited? It's not going to be rational. It's going to be one of those welcome to being human beliefs. I'm not enough. I'm powerless. I'm not enough and I'm powerless are the top two common ones. I'm not worthy. As if somebody decides what's worthy and what's not. Who's worthy? What is worthy? That's what perfectionism is. It's saying, I have to be perfect or somebody will judge me because I'm really not enough. And then the next thing is this is so important, receive. How many of you really open up your energy field to receive? Some of you grew up like I did, hearing, don't get your hopes up because you don't always get what you want. In my case, it was my mother trying to protect me so that I would not be disappointed. I'm sure it's what happened with her. But we live these contracted lives. We don't expect the best. We don't expect to get what we want. And so if you would look at your energy field in terms of energy, because that's what we are, it would be contracted as if we were literally protecting ourselves. But if we want to experience something that we've never had before, we have to expect it, assume it. That's what tells particles of creation how to show up. Expectation and assumption. And then opening up to receive it. There's a force in the universe called grace, and grace shows up in the form of synchronicities, out of the blue ideas that are so beyond logic. Grace shows up as intuitive hits. Oh, I think I need to go here today. And instead of arguing with it, oh, I don't have time and I really am not going to do it, we go. And then we go there and it puts us in touch with some miraculous thing, person we haven't seen for a while, or we have an opportunity to give or receive. But we have to open up our field to receive. One of the games that I just suggested to one of my clients is, I just won $200 million in the lottery. Her business is going through a change right now. And it would be really easy for her to go, okay, how are we going to do this? Where's the money going to come from? We have people to pay. And of course, it's easy for us to do that because no one has trained us to trust in the unknown. So I suggested that every morning she play the, I just won $200 million in the lottery. Play with that energy. What would you do? You'd buy all the things that you wanted to buy. And then what would you do? You'd plan for trips. You'd put the money in a trust for your kids or your grandkids. You'd do fun stuff. Feel the difference in doing fun stuff versus, oh, this works for everybody but me. That's how we open up to receive. That's how we change the thermostat. That's how we change our factory settings. Factory settings meaning the ones we took on when we were little. It could be your factory setting for joy in a relationship. I recently talked to someone who was pondering whether or not she wanted a relationship. She thought they had to conform to the rules that she grew up with. So this is the other thing. When you open up to receive your wildest dreams, notice the rules. What rules do you have? Well, those are learned too. There are no rules. We make them up. Everything gets to be easy. My rules are everything gets to be easy. One of my rules is everything falls into my lap. One of my rules is I make a difference in the world. And I'm always supported in every way. Another one of my rules is I get to live my life my way. I make up the rules all the time, and they're always up for change. One of my rules is everything is here to serve me. Everything is here to show me what I would prefer so that I can then focus on what I prefer and breathe life into it and get out of the way. Right now, when there's so much chaos in the world, what motivates you? What are you dreaming of? What are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself you're too old or some things aren't possible? Are you afraid to dream? Right now, the world needs more dreamers. The world needs more people who are willing to live from not logic, which is living from the past and living from limitation, but living from a connected heart and mind, going for what would I love, and also listening to guidance. And this is the last piece of this. When you know what you would love and you're feeling those feelings every day, ask, and what's one action I can take today that will move me closer? And then do it. We have a lot of knowledge, and I know if you're listening to this, you know a ton of stuff. But until we are walking our talk, it's just philosophy. We have to be willing to take action, even in the doubt, even in the not knowing, even with the fear. We have to be willing when we take action to confront our old stories that come up, because they will, that say, who do you think you are? This is going to be hard. Really? Who said? Who made up that rule? Your past made up that rule. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything. You are here to be uniquely you. Maybe you're going to dye your hair purple and be a gypsy. Maybe you're going to start a multi-million-dollar coaching business. Maybe it's time to finally write that book or start a podcast. Maybe it's just time to let yourself have that phenomenal relationship that you've wanted but never had. Maybe it's time for all that. As I'm recording this on March 20th, we're heading into an eclipse in Aries, and Aries is all about action. This is the time to take action. And when we go to what we want, expect it, assume it, it's done. Energetically, it's done. And the rest of it, it's just you closing the gap in awareness of not getting what you want, but being that version of you. Being that version of you who you do wake up and you have those three emotions. And then taking action, knowing that it's done. It's about tuning out the distractions. It's about understanding that we're in a whole new era in our lives. This is such a pivotal time on the planet, and the world needs you. As a matter of fact, your whole life has been the lead up to this time. We only experience our beliefs. We experience a world of energy that has no meaning on its own. We filter everything through the stories we tell and the beliefs that we have that are all made up. So this is your time to get excited about life, about what motivates you, and realize that you can believe anything. Beliefs are just thoughts we keep thinking. When we think the new thoughts, when we get excited about what we're creating in our lives, the reality mirror changes. And suddenly, things happen and unfold from within you. And you have a deja vu moment where you say to yourself, I remember when this was just in my imagination. You're not too old to buy the house that you want, to have a vacation home, to maybe just travel, to do anything. If you can imagine it, it's already done. It's just waiting for that version of you. Let me know how this goes. I focus on empaths because we have compassion, we have empathy. And when we learn to regulate our emotions, to feel without a story attached, everything is possible. And we're here to create a new and kinder world. Thanks for listening. If you haven't hit subscribe,